sketch about a podcast.
we could every
A sketch about a podcast where one of us kills the other one, and it's a murder mystery.
We do it live on that.
But one of us is dead, and you can't say who killed him.
Oh my god. But would you see the death on the podcast?
No, I would be dead. I'd be
Yeah.
like, we have to talk, guys.
Okay.
We have some big news. I died. And you guys are like, what? No way. I just read that on my phone. We should talk about it, and do a podcast mock. And I'm the dead guy.
That would be cool.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Pretty ridiculous sketch idea, but you know what I mean?
And we're interviewing you.
Yeah, and then oh wait, we have to go to break, guys. Sorry, I have to drain the blood for a second. Anyways, I don't know.
No.
We'll do this.
We'll do this is fine for now.
Yeah, whatever. But
That idea next.
I feel like we can do it.
Episode 2, one of us dies.
Yeah. Or the other thing is we could talk about making a podcast in a totally different genre every time. Be like this today we're talking about how we would make a video game podcast, and then next time it's how would we make a medical podcast?
Oh.
And then the next time it's how would we make a
When you perform
philosophical
the incision,
yeah.
with sound effects, it was like a thing under your teeth.
But anyways, stories we could talk about.
Yep.
It's rolling?
It's rolling. We've been rolling.
Oh no.
Oh well, we're gonna start it whenever.
Okay,
maybe some of that makes it in. Maybe it doesn't.
Ready to sing?
Okay.
All right.
Welcome. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WWW.Games podcast. This is episode 1. First podcast ever, as I'm sure you'll all be able to tell. I'm Joe, at ImproJoe on Twitter.
I'm Anthony at Giggle Me Hardy.
And I'm Peter at Peter_Gagliardi, Gagliardi.
And we're doing the first podcast all together because it was kind of an idea we all kind of came up with together. What is this podcast, you may ask? Why should I care? We're going to cover some video game news, stuff that we like, that we feel we should talk about and share with all of you. And also, we're going to talk about games that we used to like and where they are now and what we kind of like nowadays and maybe if they apply to the gaming sector now. And pretty much just any other kind of banter we feel like doing. And just kind of, talking about games. That's what we're doing. And that's why you're probably listening, because you're like, ooh, a game podcast. Ooh. And we're dads, hence the high chair right beside us.
We sit in this daily.
We decided to film this in my kitchen. Why not?
Yeah.
We'll see what
Who knows where next
I
one will
know.
be.
Yes.
I don't know. Let's start with some news.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, I'm going to pull this up. So I'm just going to go over some of the top news stories from Google News around video games, and we're just going to pick one.
Sure.
So, we've got Sony PlayStation's new God of War video game planned for November. We have some news articles about Epic Games Store's summer showcase. So, the list of games, which ones people are talking about. XCOM. Yes.
What's happening?
Okay, I'm gonna power through this, guys.
Yeah, just power through.
Okay.
Wait.
Keep going. No, let's keep going.
We should maybe change subjects. Let's start with something not news, something that we can emotionally invest.
You'll never know what was coming.
Cut that out.
No, we're gonna keep it. There was
that.
something Anthony found very funny.
Oh,
oh my gosh! You could guess it in the comments. What was it that Anthony was laughing at? Was it Epic Games? Was it that there was another remake coming out? Was it a Fortnite skin reveal?
It could have been all of the above.
Okay.
We're keeping that. I love it.
Okay.
He lost his mind.
Well, okay, so instead of news, sure, let's leave that.
Forget
to
the
later.
news.
Yeah, so let's leave that till later once we're warmed up a bit more.
Sure, let's warm up.
Maybe we warm up. With,
Yes, let's warm up with something that won't throw me off.
like talking about remakes. What do you guys
let's
think?
talk about remakes.
Okay, remakes. I am of the it's good in the right circumstance field. So a remake of Last of Us, I don't agree with because it's very recent and there's in my opinion, no need to revisit it because it's been good and it was good recently. So that I don't agree with, but a remake like Resident Evil 2, I think was like icing on the cake. It was perfect. So that's my take on it.
Okay, I'm of the complete. I'm hard on the side of I believe that they're always good, and I know that's weird, but I do. I believe that remaking is almost always good in my mind because you're taking that original idea and if you're remaking, not a remaster. I want to be very clear. A remaster to me is where I'm going to just upscale the things to HD and 4K and woo. I've played a lot of remasters. I don't feel like they do enough. When you fully remake a game from the ground up, even Last of Us to me now, I saw someone on Twitter say that the idea of them being able to play Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Part 2 together as one like storybook with the same graphics now and re-experience that is huge to them. They love it. So I think that's a neat thought. And if you're remaking it, then now you've done it from the ground up, so it's not just a remaster. So I think, remake it. And I mean, if people are like, oh, it's a cash grab, don't buy it. Play the original. What are you mad about? I don't know. It still exists. Yeah.
Okay, Pete.
Yeah, I think I'd probably lean more to Anthony on this one. I like what you said about the remaster versus remake. That is an important distinction.
Cool. Pig in the middle.
Yeah, I think no, the remaster. I think I'm on board there. That distinction isn't always appreciated, and it's important. But I still feel like more often than not, remakes end up being cash grabs, and I think remakes can have a lot of potential. I think that if you really put the same heart and soul into a remake as you did for the original, it can work out well. But I think more often than not, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I'm maybe like what Anthony's thinking, but maybe a bit more on the pessimistic side.
Can you pull up some remakes just so we have a bit of a list? Because I feel like every other game is a remaster/remake.
Yeah.
But just so we have a little more ground, because the one that comes to mind, obviously Skyrim and like The Last of Us, and then there was I guess it's like a remaster remake of Mass Effect.
Resident Evil 4.
The legendary,
A lot of remasters.
So I guess Mass Effect was more a remaster because they did keep a lot of the clunky.
Mass Effect wasn't.
Mass Effect was more of a remaster.
So
they didn't build anything ground up.
The
right?
thing is, to counter your points, Pete, Mass Effect, I don't think that was a cash grab. I mean, everything's a cash grab. We'll put that cap in. But Mass Effect was so far distanced in a lot of people's minds that it was no longer a part of discussion. So I think it coming into the fold, sure it was a cash grab, but it reinvigorated the interest in that franchise. And all of a sudden, someone like me who didn't play it in the first go-around had a chance to play it now. And now I can be a part of that whole world. So yes, it was a cash grab, and when I bought it, I did think that at first, but I actually played it. It was updated, and it felt like, okay, I'm not necessarily playing a 2008 game. It did have its rough edges, but it felt like, okay, I can now be a part of this, as opposed to like, I am the best. I played it in 2008. That's the only way you play it because this guy's weird sprite looked weird, and that's the only way you can play it. It's like
okay, see, so to that point, I say good. So remakes end that kind of. Well, no, I guess they still feed that gatekeeping narrative of like, I played it originally and I was amazing in level whatever. But it does give everyone a chance to like, man, one of my favorite games I remember when I was younger was Donkey Kong Country 64, and if I try to play that now, it just does not hold up. It's not the same feeling. It was a great game when it came out. I love Donkey Kong 64, but playing it now, it just doesn't hold up. It's a collectathon. If you were to remake that, for the way 3D platformers work now, I'd be in. I'd be so in and so happy, and I wouldn't gatekeep and be like, I remember. I'd be like, I'm so happy more people. But I guess I'm an optimistic guy.
But the other thing too to remember is it's so difficult to get these games now. Like the companies have made it near impossible so that you are pigeonholed in buying it through PS Now. Like you can't play this ever again. So when they come up with these like remasters, it's a new avenue. So like something like Nintendo, if they said we're putting Donkey Kong on our service, I'm never remaking it. To me that's a bit unfair. Like that's almost the opposite. Like you're right. Like some people are like 100% only playing it original. I'm gonna buy this $500 subscription Nintendo came up with, or there's people who are like, let's just like put a facelift on it, resell it, and then you get a new audience. So it's you know, it is cash grab, yes, but I do think that there's merit to remastering, remaking under the right circumstance. I am firmly against The Last of Us because I think that's just, they did a remaster for PS4, which I guess makes sense because if you have a PS3, you can't play PS3 games on PS4 disc-wise, sure. But the PS4 to PS5, it's like, okay, you guys, like, okay.
Yeah. Those are good points. I think you're right. Maybe I was a bit too harsh. So going back to Mass Effect, because that is one of my favorite game series and favorite at our household, really. We have been playing through the remake, and we got it because we didn't have a console version, and we wanted to play it on the console together at my house. You know, kind of watch through it together and kind of just go through it. I think that one, what I'm really waiting for is Mass Effect 4 to see what that's like, and you know. Mass Effect, the trilogy, it could have been, like you said, a way to reinvigorate it and get the player base reinterested and kind of get new players in there. And with the idea that Mass Effect 4, if it has that same sort of love and care that the original trilogy did, that, you know, I see that as a good positive thing. And so I just pulled up this list of remakes on Google. So
cool.
So one of the top ones here is
remakes, not remasters.
Remakes, yeah.
Got it.
So like the Final Fantasy VII remake. So
Yes.
you know, this is an example. Maybe to me it was kind of a bit of a both worlds thing, but they actually significantly revamped the game.
Yeah.
They took
the combat was changed.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everything, like they took kind of the idea, like the setting and the story and all of that from the original and the characters, and they totally changed the format, and not just like a facelift, but truly changed what was in there. They've added content and they fleshed certain things out. So that to me is the right sort of way to do a remake, where you aren't trying to like repeat what you did with the original exactly. You're trying to, you know, capture that feeling in a modern way, in a new way, with the new technology available.
What's one that wasn't the way to do it? Because I'm looking at this list, and here to me, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. I thought that was
good,
amazing. Spyro Reignited Trilogy, thought it was great. Like it didn't really do too much different in my opinion.
that
Like
was
just
more of a
looked nicer. It was
remaster,
more of a remaster. Pokemon Heart Gold Soul Silver, probably to me anyway, one of the best Pokemon games ever. Like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which is why like they're still hard to come by today, right? I still keep looking at that microphone as a camera. Maybe we gotta move it.
I guess maybe we should start
stupid.
like should we start trying to wrap, like, you know, let's bookend this. So I mean, no offense to you guys, but you did change my mind.
Well,
so you guys suck.
Okay, wow.
No, I but honestly, like,
First podcast.
I think there's a very wow. I think there's a big difference. Like, you can tell when it's a cash grab. Like, I think there's the narrative that like all remakes are cash grabs. Yeah. Which then maybe not necessarily your point, but there's like, you know, there's a spectrum here. But I think it's easy to tell when it's a cash grab. Again, hence Last of Us. Recency bias, it's already there. Why are you remaking it again? You sell it as like new feature, like in the new engines. Like, no, that's a narrative game. Like the narrative is what pulls it through. So for me, that's the line. But I do think the benefits of remakes and remasters outweigh the garbage trash that comes out.
So I think for me, in what you said, probably like if it's a one generation ago type of remake, instant red flag that's just a pure cash grab. They're not going to be adding any new content that's significant. But like taking a PS1 era game and remaking it for PS5 era, that stands a chance of actually being a really significant remake, or even like the Crash Bandicoot trilogy, the Spyro trilogy. The Mass Effect trilogy even is I hate to say this, but it's old.
Yeah.
Because I'm old.
We're all old.
I'll do my ending now. I love remakes, all of them. Keep them coming. I will pay you. I don't know.
You changed your mind.
Did not change my mind.
No.
I am so happy. Let's keep the remakes coming.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay,
That's where I'm at.
What do you think? Comment.
Yeah, comment. Let us know what you think. Is anyone on my side? I would love to know. Probably not. That's okay. Hey, it's all good. Someone's got to be the wrong one.
Always
It's
you.
always Joe.
It's always you,
okay.
Joe.
I have a puppy. She was so sad. She was clawing at the chair.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of it. Let me be a part of your podcast.
What FIFA? What do you think of remakes?
I love it. Remake Nintendogs. Okay.
Okay.
Deep cut.
Okay. So what do you guys do? You want to go to news now, or should we go to the next kind of?
Are we going to be able to go to news?
No, well, I'm not ready yet.
You're not ready yet?
I'm not
Okay,
prepared.
so
for
we're going
that.
to go to the next kind of topic.
Okay.
I guess we didn't talk about explicitly the format, but I guess we talk about news. We have a couple of kind of, maybe controversial or discussion topics, and then we have the true WWW format at the end. that we'll get to.
WWW.Games format.
Yeah.
That.
We do news if Anthony can hold himself together.
holds
We'll do
himself
news
together.
first.
Oh.
Usually. But
Usually.
I
for
need-
today...
yeah.
Yeah. Today it's
Maybe I hold my ears and then you pick the news and then I don't.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say I want to talk about the Grammys.
One
Yes,
time,
we'll talk about.
one
the
time
Grammy.
I was
okay.
reading at church and I broke out into laughter. I get it. It just happens. We laugh.
I
What do you
didn't.
do?
I
Back
was
when I was
thinking
young-
about not laughing, which just does not work.
Yeah, but if you have to think about not laughing,
It
you're
could
done.
have,
Love it.
and it was probably the most boring article. But
Yeah,
if
it
you
just
think
did
about
something to
don't
you,
laugh
yeah.
about how
Yeah.
paint dries, it's coming,
Paint
and you're
dry.
gonna laugh.
Yeah. Okay, so next topic is early access or full release. So I guess maybe to put it a little bit better, what do you think early access games are worth getting into, or if they're maybe sometimes worth getting into? Do you think that I don't know if we want to delve into the fact that some full releases actually are more like early releases because of all the bug fixes that need to happen. But so
Have there been games like that? No.
one or two.
Not at all.
Huh.
Yeah.
Not in this era of games.
Yes, that never happens.
I think that's okay. So I think we need to split alpha and like beta games and unfinished games because
I
those have different outcomes.
Okay, so let's talk about the early access alpha beta game thing. Maybe
Okay.
we save.
They
maybe we
come
save
out
the-
and they say, this is early access. This
yeah,
is
this
alpha
is
beta.
not completed. You're paying like for almost like a Kickstarter.
Okay.
You get to play what we have done,
Yes.
and you're giving us money so we can continue to
Oh,
build upon
okay.
the game.
Yeah.
So okay, and then we'll save the unfinished thing for next time, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, again, this sounds very similar, but done correctly, I am okay with alpha beta games because we're really in a time where giving talent the time to grow is almost as important as just getting a finished product. So if someone has a good idea, a good game, and they obviously run out of funding, the beta, I think it's a great tool because you're not forced to buy the beta, but you can, and it'll support the people. You'll get a chance to play it. I think it's a win-win. On the flip side, there are people who take advantage of it, which is bad. But I think overall beta is good, and people can make their own decisions with their money and support the people they want to. I think where people kind of get caught is when they see a game they just want just because it looks cool, and they buy it and they realize later it's one of those beta games that's going to be beta forever because they know people are buying it and they'll cash in. So I mostly am positive with them.
This is a great time to walk into this part, actually, really quick. Now that you just said that, this is an alpha beta podcast. This is our first episode. If you like what we're doing and you want to
Give us
support us in
money.
any way, no, not even. You
Oh,
know what? I have two things to say. Number one, and I really like the podcasts that I listen to say this, and I think it's a great way to put it. If you feel like you would like to support us financially, I have a Buy Me a Coffee link on our Twitter page. Once this launches, it should be there. If it's not, then this looks bad, but it'll be there. So we're on Buy Me a Coffee, and then the other way you could support us is you could write us a 5-star review, because that would help people actually find our podcasts on all the places we post it. So either way, both ways help so much. And at the beginning of next time's podcast, whenever that happens, we'll call you out in a good way. If you write us a 1-star review, we'll also call you out in a not good. No, I'm just kidding.
This is the most intense sales pitch
yeah,
ever.
Just saying,
we'll
but,
find
but
you.
we'll
and
find
we'll
you.
know
And
what
we
you
will
did.
show you that 1-star in ways that you didn't know you could see it. I don't know. I just think that if you can, great. If not, if you don't care, whatever. If this is being watched or listened to by like 2 people, great. That's 2 more people that didn't listen to us before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two biggest fans.
Alpha Beta Podcast. Thanks.
Yeah,
That's
Alpha
it. I have nothing to advertise. We have no sponsors yet.
Apple.
Apple. I'm like McDonald's. Yeah.
Tesla.
Yeah.
I know you're watching this, Elon. I know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep. Do you want to actually say anything about the game side of?
Yeah, sorry. So now I'll go into that. Alpha Beta games. Okay. Yeah, I honestly think that more games need to come out and just say, hey, this is Alpha Beta. Like, imagine if we got Battlefield 2042 and we did. 2047?
Yeah, 2047.
Jeez. I don't even remember the title.
2042.
How?
I think it was 2042.
Was it
I think it was
2042?
2042.
Cool. I don't remember the title because I
Bad
didn't play it
times.
much.
Bad times.
And the thing is I didn't play it much because it felt like an alpha, but I spent like $90 Canadian on it.
Yeah,
So,
well.
and I'm thinking I was getting the full experience right away, right? And that's the thing is there's a lot of those games that you spend like, and we're Canadian, it's hard. It's like $89.99 and you're expecting the full thing. And then they're like, oh no, we have some updates. And it's like, well, whoa, hold on a second. Come out and tell me that first. Tell me that this is early access. And it can be early access for the first year. I don't care. Just be upfront. I think more games need to come out and just say that. When you say it,
May I
and you know it,
interject?
interject.
It was not an alpha beta game.
No.
It was a full release.
Yes.
Surprise! You
Yeah.
got played.
I know, that's what I'm saying. If it came out and said that,
Oh, you're
great.
saying if
I was just saying,
in the
yeah,
state it was,
I like
if they
Alpha
said
Beta.
it's alpha.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like so the last game, like Baldur's Gate 3 was out on Google Stadia, and a lot of people got it right away, and it said early access. In fact, maybe I'm
It's
wrong.
still early
I think it's
access.
still in early access. But the people that bought it aren't unhappy because they know what they walked into. They are giving feedback and they're going to get the game they really want. Imagine if everyone could just listen to the fans. And if you do have a game like that, fans are willing, usually, to tell you what they want. And then your game is awesome and then everyone's happy and you're great. Now, it is the longer way to do things than, like, who wants to actually listen to people's opinions sometimes. I get it. But, like, yeah, even as a teacher, sometimes I'll put a lesson plan in beta and I'll be like, okay, what'd you guys think of that? Did you like that drama exercise? And some of my students will be like, Mr. Reno, no. And I'll be like, cool, what can I do to improve it? And then the next time I teach it, it's amazing. So why can't we do that with games? So yes, I believe in alpha beta. I think alpha beta versions are great. And more companies should just be upfront and do it rather than release an unfinished product, which we'll get to later.
Yes. So I think, yeah, it's a good point that there's this unfinished game topic, day one updates, day one patches, day one DLC, those sorts of things. I think that's a different discussion than people who are upfront of, hey, this is an alpha, beta, early access game. This game is going to be still under development. There's still going to be bugs. There's still going to be features maybe to add, whatever. And this is the risk you're taking by buying the game now. But to Anthony's point, I think for me, one of the really cool things about this early access concept is the ability to impact the game, as a purchaser, as a consumer. So for me, I think early access, whether you buy into it or not, is more about what you think about the developer or developers rather than what you think about the game. So obviously it's got to be a game you think you're going to like, but really when you get into early access, you got to go, is the developer somebody that I think is going to, continue working on the game and actually finish it up and address bugs when they come up, but B, the really cool part, are they open to ideas? Can I, if I play this game and I have a great idea about it, is the developer the kind of person or people that I could bring the idea to and have a shot that they might actually implement something? And you almost get to shape the game a little bit yourself. And I think that can be really cool. And then obviously the other thing Anthony said was about the helping fund, if there's an indie, especially like an indie developer or an indie studio that's really passionate about making a particular game. And, to me, those are always the best ones, is when you can tell that the creators have a passion for it.
Yeah.
They really put a soul into the game.
Yeah.
And the people who put a soul into the game don't necessarily have the funding, don't necessarily have the business savviness or, the cutthroatness you need to really make it in an industry like that. And so by helping them, you're kind of giving them that lifeline, like you said, kind of like a Kickstarter, where you keep pushing it forward. It's sort of a plug, but in probably what is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
I was gonna say, can you talk about this? Talk
yeah,
about it.
Yeah, I would love to do this more. I don't expect to do it more.
Peter's our celebrity on
Yes,
the pod. Look, I
yes.
use it as a camera again. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Peter's our celebrity.
Say it right here.
Yeah.
Peter, yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote the soundtrack for a video game that is in early access. We're going to be in early access soon, called Relic Space. It's available on Steam. You can download a demo, and you can join a Discord server to get even kind of earlier access demo versions. And I think the plan is to get it out into early access this year. But even without getting into early access, the developer, he's a solo developer. He's been so open to feedback, and he's been, I feel like, in the year or so since I've started working with him, most of the stuff he's doing isn't bug fixing, it's feature adding. Like,
cool.
The game is already quite stable. It's not at early access yet, but it almost feels like it's polished enough like a year ago to be in early access. Mm-hmm. Except for the soundtrack, which I just wrote. So that was the cornerstone that brings it all together.
Will the soundtrack also be in early access?
Yes.
Can we influence the soundtrack?
I'd like to add guitar. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually,
more cello.
Maybe that's a topic for another time.
More cowbell.
Yeah. That's an interesting topic maybe for another time.
Just
but
kidding.
I would totally be open to that idea.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah. But that's a tangent. But
okay. No,
it's been really cool because you play this game, and it's in this case for me it was a game that's really fun concept, and I played around a bit. I left feedback about bugs and stuff, but then it was also like, if it had this level to it, or if it had this feature in there or whatever, and then the guy goes and implements it, and he gets feedback from people who haven't even paid anything yet. And he's adding stuff into the game, and you can just tell he's so passionate about this. He loves this kind of game. He wants to be playing this kind of game, and he wants to make it the best version of this game. By the way, it's like a 4X cross with, it's a roguelike with 4X elements is the best way to say it. Anyways, that's what I think about early access is when you have to look at the developer rather than the game. You're taking a risk on the developer, but
True.
It can pay off way more than just buying a finished game.
And with that, I don't want to sound, well, I already did sound like I was hating on Battlefield, but I get that, there's a
Battlefield.
Oh, are we dads?
Dad jokes.
What do you think of that, son? Anyway.
Where are your diapers? Actually, we should have a diaper count for all
Where are they? Stack it up right by the camera.
No, just put it on the front.
I don't have any diapers downstairs. I'm sorry. I know. We changed them upstairs. That's where the stinkiness goes. Anyway,
back to your
I was gonna say, I understand it's very different. You have a whole team of tons of people working on Battlefield. So if you're we have this feedback, who do we give it to? Paul in this section or Paul in that section? And then it's well, shoot, I don't know. So I get it. It's not easy to do. But then here's my challenge: release a full game instead. Mm-hmm. I don't know. If you're oh, I don't like all this bad feedback, great. Delay. I love game delays. When I hear a game is delayed, I go, wonderful. At least they've been upfront.
Wow.
That the delay is
controversial.
There.
I hate you. Continue. Finish your point.
Okay,
but
so
I
I'll finish my point.
Wow.
When they say we've delayed the game yet again. Okay, now, this comes twofold. When you delay the game, that means there's something you're working on, therefore my expectations are now higher. But I also know that I'd rather you delay, crunch, that whole controversy of when studios put people through crunch time. I'll tell you now, in any industry, you put someone through a crunch of any sort and say, get it done, hurry up. Your quality of work is going to be less. Your quality of life is going to be less. Everyone's going to hate their job. And then I would argue that usually when you do a crunch like that, the game isn't even that good to begin with. Yeah. So really, poor us, the consumers who have to wait for the game, what are we really complaining about? Just wondering.
I hate you.
Okay, so I'll let you go. But
are we changing the debate? Because
let's
start with
all right, we had a plan.
Okay.
But
our game delays okay.
We don't really plan everything we do. I don't know if that's going to serve us well or not. It's the first episode. Why don't you let us know? Anyway, take it away. Don't say anything rude. We're trying to keep this PG.
No, he's horrible.
Oh.
That's as un-PG as it gets. Oh, you little whippersnapper.
That's a bad one.
Yeah.
Can't say whippersnapper anymore.
To your point on delays, I think release dates are now a marketing ploy because Battlefield it was delayed. I'm almost certain of it. I don't know for a fact, but
the
I could imagine.
expectations were high.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was announced, then it was delayed, and every single announcement created buzz, and it culminated in a wet fart. But
Where's the diapers, Peter?
No,
Did you find the diapers?
I think this industry has completely lost sight of what launches are now. Because look at Starfield. Let's launch it. What was it? A crazy cool date, November 11th, 2022. Lots of crazy cool
Christmas
dates.
time.
Yeah, marketing for free. And then lo and behold, it's not coming until your grandpa dies. Way into the future.
That.
You know what I mean?
Way
ahead.
What they did say it's going to come in wasn't it Q1?
Actually, that might be
So you just predicted everyone's
yeah.
grandpa's dying in Q1 of 2022.
Sorry, guys.
Way to go.
I think what I was trying to say is
Go
they
hug your
delay it.
grandparents.
They can delay it indefinitely until you no longer care about it, just to spark emotion.
Oh, man.
And I think it's no longer fair because these dates, they probably announced that November 11th date. I don't know when, but it must have been 2 years before. Just arbitrary. We know what we're doing in 2 years. Pandemic be darned. Anyways, I think it's all marketing. I think they need to reassess. Delays are, I think, absolutely thought of ahead of time. I can guarantee. I bet you Starfield was we'll say November 11th, but actually,
imagine if that
we
was a
have
week.
no idea when this guy's grandpa dies.
Somebody posts a Word document of ooh, we know when all the planned release dates are.
Anyways, that's why I hate you because I think
Okay.
it's
All right.
It's
totally
just marketing.
They're toying with us completely. That's
Maybe.
my angle. Pete,
No.
what do you think? Do you hate Joe as
Do I
much
hate
as I
Joe?
hate Joe?
I have a puppy,
Hard to hate you with a puppy.
right?
So this is tough. This is where now I get to be. I'm probably going to be the one who goes most off topic, philosophical, where you probably causes this podcast to people to fall asleep.
Sure.
But okay, I think about No Man's Sky as an example. So there's the studio, kind of the people who are developing the game versus the executives and the publishers and all of that, and there's always this push and pull between deadlines and hey, we need to be making positive cash flow, and so it's we've got to either hype things up or we've got to release things a little bit early versus the development team who's actually working on the game. I know in their hearts they're probably anytime a game's going to get released and it's going to be full of bugs, or anytime a release date's announced and they know it's just a marketing ploy. I know the core teams are just besides themselves, upset at management and that sort of thing. I almost guarantee it. But yeah, it's I side a bit more with Anth on this one. It's kind of yeah. I know what you're saying, that the delay you like to hear because that means they're actually putting the attention in the game.
Yeah.
But then why put that out there in the first place? And why does it happen so often, especially with the bigger studios, right?
Yeah.
If this is an indie studio who is their first game or their second game, and they give a release date and they're like, sorry guys, we're not making this release date. Well, they've never done it before, or they've done it once, so they're probably running into all kinds of problems they didn't think about. They're learning as they go.
Yeah.
But if it's a big studio like Bethesda or EA or those guys, how many games have they released? They know what the game development cycle is. They know what it takes. They know how to assess where a product is. So if they're giving a release date, they should have the experience and the data to know if it's an accurate or not release date. And so if it's not, if a major studio is facing a delay like that, they better have a really good reason for it, or it stinks of really bad management that is kind of forcing things that aren't real to be real just so that they look good.
I suppose. The one thing I will say is I don't know when. I don't know. I don't know as much as I should about game development, but when will we say that it's no longer the pandemic that influenced that game delay, though, right? Mm-hmm. So, looking at Starfield, looking at Battlefield, no. Wait, was that pandemic times?
It happened in, it was launched in pandemic.
Okay, so, all right, I'm trying to think of the last game that
Well,
was delayed, that wasn't developed during pandemic.
I just think you have to think about the fact that we're in a dry spell.
Yeah.
Like, right now we're in a dry spell coming out of the pandemic. I think it's all a testament to how bad the pandemic was.
Yeah.
Unofficially, I think things have just been delayed. Or
Yeah.
maybe they have been delayed and we just haven't really heard the news.
But the whole cycle thing is a really good point because, like, again, I'm a drama guy. I direct plays, and I don't have the luxury to delay a musical or a play. Like, if I give the date that you can buy tickets, you have to see it. Now, that being said, if my show's not great, well, they saw it, a week or two runs, and then it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a game kind of lives forever, or until they remake it, you know?
Mhm.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I think the underlying tone of this is the big boys of the industry suck, and the poor indies are getting dragged in the mud because delays for indie people mean a lot more than delays for the 7,000 person company who, for some reason, made Battlefield 2042 launch as like a quarter of a game. Like it's been totally skewed. So yes.
And maybe I will say working in the private sector for a pretty big company, I know. So I really don't want to paint all employees or even all of management of these companies with the same brush, because it really you can have one or two bad eggs in the right position that can really throw things off. I know in my case, I've seen where a single high-level manager is the kind of person who goes, I don't care what the real projected measurement is. I want it to be at least this much. And if their underlings don't give them that number, even if it's not the truth, there's pain that comes their way. They get fired, they get moved to other projects, whatever. So, but it really, it's not a whole company. It can just be one or two bad eggs that can really throw things off. Yeah.
So we gotta get new eggs. New eggs, guys.
New eggs.
So speaking of new eggs, do you want to go to news?
Yeah.
Should we just skip the news?
Let's
talk about the Grammys.
Yes,
let's
let's
talk
talk
about
about
Grammys.
Grammys.
Okay.
That's the greatest
Okay,
news story.
video game music should absolutely be way more appreciated. Man, the amount of times I download a video game soundtrack when it comes out and listen to it. It's like the best thing to work to. If I'm marking stuff, I'll listen to that because it's like, I don't know. I think we need to start honoring more things. I mean, there's a whole other conversation to have. Is like, do the Grammys even matter sometimes anymore? But
Yes.
I like what did Best Rock album go to once, and I was like, Kate, I'm out. Like, that's not even a rock band, but whatever. I guess they have a guitar. Like, but yeah, add a category there. That's what I think. Yes.
I'm gonna disagree.
Okay.
Of
course
okay.
you are, 'cause that was my opinion. And
I
then you're like, Joe,
still hate you,
I
but
hate you. You're a puppy.
I think that awards, especially nowadays, are much like the release date. They're a fake. And I mean that wholeheartedly because as a Rush fan, the Hall of Fame induction, it really didn't mean anything to my favorite band because they were still the best band in the world, but they were inducted and it was a thing, and it was like what did it do other than just pat them on the back? I think gamers, obviously being put into the mainstream, whatever, it is what it is, but I don't think it's necessary, and I think the Grammys are trying to exploit video games because video games already have awards. Like, Grammys, stay in your lane. Like, Grammys are music, that's fine, but stay in your lane. Video games have their big awards show. What does pulling them out of that into the masses actually do? I think it would be weird if we had a best film in the video game awards. Why is there all of a sudden a best video game soundtrack?
It might happen.
Grammys?
Best video game movie, it might happen. There's enough of them.
But
best video game media.
No. But is the Grammys? I don't know for sure. Is it best video game music or is it best
soundtrack?
Video game show movie or soundtrack?
Right.
Yeah.
It's I think it's best soundtrack. Let me
just best soundtrack to a video game. See, but there you go. You're crossing the streams. You are becoming
that's true.
best video game soundtrack.
See,
so you say that's true. Like the Oscars have a best
What?
song, but that's a song that appears in a movie.
Yeah. So would it not feel out
makes
of
sense.
place to be like best actor in a movie at a video game convention or award
Yeah.
ceremony. It's just kind of like you're kind of diluting the message, and I totally think that's garbage trash, as I believe I put the other conversations.
But Peter needs a Grammy for Relic Space, Anthony, so you should be on his side.
Yeah, but he's a sellout if he gets a Grammy. No, I'm joking.
You're that. You're a sellout if you're celebrated.
If you get a Grammy, you're a sellout.
Yeah. So I mean, I absolutely think that video game soundtracks are like, they can be even more difficult than I think, with film or TV type soundtracks.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you don't have quite the same audience that you would in like a big blockbuster movie, but with a video game soundtrack, you have to be interactive, and you have to be able to fit your music into situations that you don't have an exact cue for. Like in a movie, you have exactly the picture, exactly the emotion that's going to be happening. In a video game, obviously, if you have a cutscene, you have that there, but if it's like in the gameplay, you have to have music that can react and morph. And that can be difficult to make some music that seamlessly integrates between like a quiet scene and an action scene, or new important characters or events coming in, having that dynamically come in and flow with the music in a way where you don't know exactly what's going to happen, so you have to kind of add some generality. The skills that you need for that are to do it well are quite high. But so what I look for often for red flags, like the sort of cash grabs or insincerities, is consistency. So the first question I'll ask, because I don't know the Grammys that well, do the Grammys have a best film soundtrack category?
Yes.
They do?
Yeah.
I haven't watched the Grammys in a while.
Look it up. Use the power of the internet.
Let's use
I
the
think
power of the
award shows... Okay, I won't go there.
Don't do it.
I won't go there.
I like award shows. Yeah.
Speaking
Less
of
and less
garbage
lately.
trash.
Uh,
No, I'm joking. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
I just, again, to your point.
So they do. Yes, they do have the best
thought they did.
soundtrack for visual media.
Frozen.
Yeah. So that's a good sign that at least they're being consistent.
Yeah.
But I think adding it is good for what it is. But I also agree with you that these award shows for things that are art forms are kind of sketchy. So the thing is, my thing about art is, maybe people will disagree with me about this, but art is subjective. So
Yes.
how can you ever say any work of art is the best?
Exactly.
So you could say
That's the greater question
that's right.
that we cannot ever answer.
Yeah. So like the Oscars, the Grammys, whatever. What is the best rock album? Well, it depends on your taste. There is no absolute
For the
best
Grammys,
rock
if
album.
there's a guitar in it, then it's rock.
Then it's
right?
rock,
That's how it
right?
works.
Right. But
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame works.
But yeah, in my mind, I think you could make an argument that art can provide something new, or set a new standard, or try things in a different way that kind of opens up the field. Like I don't know, maybe an example is like the Matrix with the action scenes that they had, and then for years after that, people were trying to copy that mentality.
Yeah.
So you could maybe argue for stuff like that. I don't even know, like
that mentality. Resurrection.
No.
Dad's
That was
diaper.
about 3 jumps.
Diaper.
yeah.
But
But
to summarize in the Grammys,
Yes.
what would your take
to
on
summarize, like the Grammys, the Oscars, those sorts of things, they just to me feed into this mentality that those industries have become, who do you know, and like do you know the right people who like you enough to nominate you for these things to make you successful? You're never going to be successful in the movie industry, in the music industry, unless you make the right connections. And then it's not so much about the product. It's not so much about the art you're making. It's just about what kind of connections you had. And so there's a panel of random people who they might, the people who decide on the best video game soundtrack at the Grammys, maybe they are a specific group of people that all they do is listen to video game soundtracks all day, and they're like the snobs of video game music. But still, they have their own tastes. There's no objective criteria. Coming from a scientific background, I like objective criteria. And what really I think bugs me about this sort of stuff is you're calling somebody the best, which means that everybody else isn't the best, and you kind of have this risk of weighing other people down and devaluing the art they make just because they didn't get an award for it or whatever. So
your art sucks.
I know, you're pretty
Anyway, okay. So to summarize, you are against the Grammys, but not against recognition.
Against the Grammys as they are, and really most art type award shows as they are. But given the fact that they're there, I think adding video game soundtrack is really good, because I feel like the amount of work and skill that goes into it can easily surpass what a TV or a movie score could.
So essentially, it's already a dumpster fire. Add more Kindle.
No,
Kindle?
Garbage trash. I didn't say dumpster fire. That's like a whole other level.
One person's trash is another person's treasure.
Yeah, good one. Okay, so
all right, want to go into the WWW?
Yes, let's go
WWW's. Okay, so the whole idea with this is this nonsense that we've just gone through was also just a small idea, and it's like what can I like? So everyone's into this nostalgia stuff. Our first topic for the first show was remakes, right? Before the news, weird. That's okay. Anyway. Anyway, the thought I had was, can we find those nostalgic games that we maybe shared in, and for us three, it's what we shared in together. But for you, we might put it out if we get some listeners or some kind of community out of this. I'd love to hear what other people played, because then it would make me excited to play more games. Because the whole point of me even being on Twitter was to find a gaming community that could, inspire me to get into the games. I'm pretty sure I only bought Google Stadia because I saw the passion from everyone else that loved it, and I'm like, sweet, I'm gonna get on this train. Cool, right? So the whole WWW thing is it starts with W. When did you play the game? Like when you were younger, when you just got your first console, whatever. What made it so special? And then where is that game now, today? So when, what, and where? So first off, when we played a game together, what game?
Well, let's pick the game.
Let's pick the game. What are we talking about?
What game?
Hang on, I forgot. What was it? We didn't write it down.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
Oh, that's right.
TMNT
2.
Yes. When did we play it? Well, okay.
But wait, maybe we should introduce the game. Well,
yes.
So for anybody who doesn't know the game, you can look it up. But it was actually an arcade game that they ported to the Nintendo Entertainment System.
The NES.
Yes, and the concept of the game was you picked one of the four turtles, and you could play at least two players. I mean, at the time, we only had two controllers because that's all the NES could take, and we didn't have one of those fancy expander things. And so you could play two-player couch co-op. You'd be running across beating up foot soldiers, going into boss battles, going across different maps, dying from some cheap boss trick and getting really frustrated at the same spot until you learned exactly how to beat this thing. Except
it's kind of like Dark Souls, but
except you would have to start at the very beginning of the game.
I would also say it was probably the first game that ever introduced multiple attacks as a kid.
Yeah.
Because there was a jump button, which was B, and then there was the attack button, which was A, but then there's A and B, which was the
oh, you're right,
super slap or whatever.
I
just was Michelangelo, and you would do the side wucha.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I was always Leonardo.
As a kid, I thought
I was probably purple guy was Donatello.
Shoot.
Yeah,
I was Donatello.
Yeah, and then I was probably Leo.
Anyway,
you were Leonardo. The double swords.
I'm the older, more mature one.
You're right.
So so the question is, when did we play it? So we are old now. But geez, Nintendo. So
NES.
the first time we played it was obviously in the 90s at some point.
Mm-hmm.
We owned a Nintendo. We played together.
You owned the Nintendo that my parents owned. Funny enough.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, that was
yes.
My dad's Nintendo.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Well, because you were born, and I think he gave it.
You were born?
My parents bought it so they could play Galaga. That's why they bought it, and then they played Galaga till they were sick of Galaga, and then they gave it, I think, over to you because they had a nephew, and then I was born. And I didn't get it.
We got
Nintendo.
Right. Maybe at this point it would be good to explain that Anthony and I are brothers, and Joe is our cousin.
Which is why you might notice they take each other's side, and I'm stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have hair, but we do.
Which is because they always don't take my side, so I stress out.
Yes. Because we hate him.
And then I lose my hair.
Okay, so we would bring our Nintendo to our grandma's house, who would then invite Joe over, because God forbid we would never invite
I'd
Joe
like to
over.
be included.
So we probably for the first time all played it at our grandma's house in, I would say, let's say mid 90s, like 95, 96,
Mid-90s,
something like that.
yeah,
So
100%.
back in the
probably
day,
5. Yeah, 6.
back in the day. So way back when.
Way
One of
back
the first games I ever remember playing.
Yeah. And I remember, like, so that's the luxury of it when you, like, what made it special. We'll go into that. So there's when we played it.
Yeah.
And what made it special was it was a game where, like, you would die often. But, like, when you died, it would just be, like, you'd either resurrect quick or you'd restart the level. Like, back then, like, I get mad at Dark Souls now, and I'm like, oh, it's too hard. But then I'm like, what did I play when I was a kid? Like, there were no save points. I couldn't stop and be like, okay, we'll take it on level 4 later. That wasn't a thing. You had to start from the beginning and then go to the end, and that was hard. And that took dedication. So you know, like, Anthony would die, and then I'd get to go and play with Peter. And then Peter would die, then Anthony would take Peter's spot. And we would just kind of rotate like that, which, like, man, I guess I'm just such a teacher, but, like, that teaches sharing. And that teaches patience and waiting your turn. Gaming, man, that's a whole other podcast. Like, I just think gaming is so good. Like, it's
This
so
is the
good.
gaming podcast.
It is, I know,
We're
but I'm
gonna
just
make
saying, like,
another
even
gaming
just for
podcast.
learning, like, I remember, okay, like, it's not, and that's it. Couch co-op was so collaborative. It's one thing I like about online now is that it's very rare that you're alone playing a game. You do talk to people. I mean, it's different when you're talking to people and playing all the time. You don't have that controller handoff. But I really think that's one of the things that made it special to me. And the other one was that double button. That was cool. I almost forgot about that.
So couch co-op is what made it special.
I think for me, the couch co-op and playing with you is what made it special. If I played that game by myself, I probably wouldn't have loved it as much. Like when they announced TMNT Shredder's Revenge, the one that's coming out next week. And if this podcast if it already came out, it was coming out next week when we recorded it.
The week of June
16th, I think it released.
Unless it was delayed.
No!
Garbage trash.
Maybe they'll remake. No, they are remake. It's kind of a remake, basically. Well, no, it's different.
So
It's
you're not
Shredder's
gonna
Revenge.
like
It's a
it.
different
You're
game.
not gonna.
No, I
like
would.
No,
like
he
it.
is. It's
I'm
not
the
a
one that likes
remaster.
remakes.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
And I like remasters too. I just prefer Anyway, go on. But anyway, yeah, it's the couch co-op, but also, yeah, I don't think I would have loved it as much if I played it by myself. When they announced Shredder's Revenge, I was like, I texted you guys right away, and I'm like, oh my god, we can relive being 6. You know, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think for me, definitely the couch co-op thing was really good. And yeah, I agree. There are things that games do these days that are, I don't know, maybe we should have at some point a topic about some of the psychology that goes into video games and, like, especially these like the optional content sort of stuff and how they get you, like, with these freemium things. But anyways,
Can you open this?
yes.
Sorry, I just want to
re-look at the agenda.
So what made it special?
So
Okay, yeah.
so yeah, so for me the couch co-op was a big thing, and yeah, like trading off when, you know, there were 3 of us but only 2 controllers, so we had to work out how do we still all have fun together and kind of root for each other. But you know, I'm a big fan of multiplayer co-op stuff versus multiplayer competitive stuff.
Me too.
And so I really like that about the game, and you know, it felt like you could work together reasonably well. Like your actions could impact each other. Like you could ask each other for help or whatever. And yeah, I really liked the vibe of the game too. I feel like it had a lot of good Turtles content in it. I know Ninja Turtles wasn't something that really stuck with me into adulthood, but I know when I was a kid I really loved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I think it just like took you across a lot of interesting settings with a lot of interesting boss characters from the show, and you know, you kind of got to see all these cool encounters, and I also actually I remember really liking the soundtrack too.
Oh yeah.
You know? Like it was yeah,
And the presentation, like the fire on the bottom, like when you were moving up and down, beating up. That was fun.
So maybe I'll chime in before you take everything.
yeah.
Because I think you guys touched base on what really made it special, because we, like, could bond over the game and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, before it, like, you were getting there, and I just want to get in because, again, I had to reread
Here's your
special
controller.
because, like,
Why
we're
don't
running
you take
out.
the controller? I
Yes.
died.
Oh.
Here.
Yeah.
Oh, now you. Oh.
Can I talk
Oh,
now?
that's great.
That's great. Yeah, you guys
do that.
hush now.
Oh my
while
god,
I
we should
talk.
use this as a talker.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
your turn. Quiet.
Yeah.
So to your kind of point, you were kind of hinting at it is, again, everything you said counts, but what made it special for me is I think it was the first video game that had dynamic gameplay. Like, back in the Nintendo days, it was very much like Super Mario is you jump, you hit people, and then you get to the end. This was you kill people as a turtle, but then you turn into skateboarding Ninja Turtles.
You're right.
And then you deal with boss 1, who's weird, and then you move on, and like there was a lot of dynamicness to it, and like to me as a young person that was cool because it felt like I want to play the skateboarding mini game because like that's awesome, and it's the same video game, so like 2 for 1. So that to me I think was like the first taste of like games within games, almost like really amalgamating a bunch of cool things into one. Jumping in before you were gonna say it, probably.
Me too. I forgot. Yeah, it had those changes like
there was
another
like there was skateboarding and then there was like surfing and maybe.
Yeah, or maybe
like there was some side like you do the killing thing and then there was like boulders that would come to at some point or like
like environment type tracks and things like that. Yeah.
And to that point we were playing Super Mario Original and like just games that were Super Mario is a horrible game. There's nothing to take from it. But like, no,
who liked Super Mario?
Guys, now you're just flat out attacking
that unknown little game. No, but like
growing up, they always had PlayStation. I always had Nintendo, and that was just.
But okay,
I like Super Mario.
Comparing it to Super Mario 3, where there was so much variation. There was big levels. There was like cool power ups that changed the way you play. Like that.
Best game ever.
Super Mario 1 was very like. Go from left to right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ninja Turtles was go from left to right, kill things, and then go on to skateboard, and then fight a boss, and then
so that was like
unique.
It was unique.
Yeah.
Good. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
The next thing is where is it now?
And just to clear up, when we say where it is now, we mean kind of is this game playable now? Like how would it stand up today? How has it impacted games of now?
Yeah. Where is it in the game?
Do we see similar things? Yeah.
Well, I think it's obvious. Like beat 'em ups, those games like Streets of Rage, Tmnt, Scott Pilgrim, I would argue, those kind of games are still played today, and there's like cult followings for beat 'em ups. Like it's nothing's really changed, really. Like just other than presentation is a little bit cleaner, the animations are a little bit better. Like I don't know, and the controls are probably tighter. But if you played that exact game now, I really don't feel like the simplicity of move, click A, click B, click B, A, B together. It would be playable now. I think it would feel a little bit simple now, because there's more stuff they do. Like if you look at the trailer for TMNT Shredder's Revenge, it's crazy the amount of things that are happening on the screen. It's wild. Like I'm so excited to jump in. There's 6-player multiplayer, and it's like what, 6 people on that screen. Oh,
there's
boy.
6 turtles.
No, because you can be April. You could be Casey.
Yeah,
there's
a
new. His name was Casey.
I think his name was Casey.
I didn't know.
Yes.
Anyway, he was a bad guy first.
Yeah. Spoiler alert! Oh no! And you can be Splinter too. I think. So there's a lot of choices.
Okay.
But anyway, that Casey Jones, that's his name. Anyway, I just think they're obviously innovating with it, so it's still with us today. There's a reason it left, I think, a mark on us and probably lots of people. Yeah. It's because it is a gameplay formula that just works, right? And it hasn't been innovated much because it works. Like, what are you going to do to change that? Beat things up, skateboard.
I think most retro games would survive today because there is a subgenre of like.
You mean like 8-bit, 16-bit retro games?
Yeah.
I would argue 64-bit, like that era, like even PlayStation games, like original PlayStation and 64, Dreamcast, some of those,
It's tough because those like 8-bit you can get by looking kind of pretty in 8-bit because like it's still passable, but like PS1 it was like here's a block that like is a face and it looks pretty rough. But yes, to your point, I think it would totally stand up. Again, the means to play TMNT 2 is you probably limited to either a Nintendo or illegal ways to play it, but that being said, I think
WWWdotGames does not support illegal games.
No, do not. That is garbage trash TM. That's my thing now.
Garbage trash TM.
Yeah.
You should just the bottom is garbage trash.
Yeah.
Anyway,
do
some
superimpose.
post-processing.
yeah,
Post.
post. Can you put like a trash bin like over my head or something?
Yeah.
Garbage trash.
If I had the
I
software.
should bring my Blippy garbage truck.
Blippy.
That my 3-year-old loves.
Why isn't there a Blippy video game?
Garbage. Are we gonna get struck or something? I
Oh,
won't
yeah,
sing it.
don't sing it.
No.
No, don't do it. You can. All of my music is content ID free, so we're free
Oh
to use
yeah,
any of
did
my
I sing
songs.
too much of it? Are we gonna get sued?
No. They'll just slap an ad on and take the money.
So yes, point being, retro games have a subgenre today. I think there's a desire for that type of game. I think TMNT 2 would 100% stand up today because games made today don't really add to it other than maybe like a special meter. I think if TMNT 2 had like a special meter where like Michelangelo like threw a pizza up and then like ate it and then like vomited acid. I don't know, but you know what I mean. Like that may be the modern take on
You're
it,
right,
but mostly would stay intact.
Yeah.
Because that's the like super new cool thing. To do.
So that just gave me an idea. I'm just gonna throw like something out there. Maybe something we can also talk about when we're talking about these older games is if we were to like see a remake of it today. What would we want in the remake to
like for this
add
one
or
doesn't
change
work.
or
The remake kind of thing is coming out June 16th, but in the future, 100%.
Michelangelo vomiting.
Michelangelo
I
vomiting
don't
pizza.
think you could ever not make that.
Okay,
Yeah,
there you
I
go.
would.
Developers of Shredder's Revenge, please add DLC. We need a special of Michelangelo vomiting, pepperoni pizza.
but it has to be acid. Like if it's
if it's
too realistic.
pepperoni pizza,
Well, they are
the acid
turtles
is
that
pretty realistic.
sewer-
But then what are we saying about pizza if we say vomits?
We're saying
we need to
pizza-
rethink this.
Yes, but it's so good you'll eat it. Anyway.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
and then
That's the slogan.
yes,
So good, you'll eat
so
it.
good.
Okay.
Yeah, even if
If you're to
vomit.
anchovies on your pizza, try acid.
Yeah.
Global goop.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your take on if it's playable today?
Yeah, I agree. I think back in the 8-bit, 16-bit days, I feel like obviously at the time the graphics would have been like, wow, we're seeing this moving picture of like even 8-bit was better than what they had previous to that. Like graphics are always improving, but I think in the 8-bit, 16-bit era, the graphics were never good enough to be their own element, like to really steal the show. Whereas once things started moving to 3D, graphics became a thing that could steal the show. But graphics are always improving, so it's always a temporary thing. Gameplay. So back in the 8-bit, 16-bit era, you had to have good gameplay because you weren't going to wow people with graphics. So to be a
unless
good
you're
game,
F-Zero on the Super Nintendo, come on.
Yeah,
Anyway, sorry.
yeah. Well, that's a good point.
Good point. Yeah.
But
Star Fox.
Star Fox, yeah. There are some exceptions,
cool.
but for the
we're
most
old.
part, yes.
We're old. Oh my goodness.
Remember
Yes, we're
F-Zero?
Back when controllers were
When
squares,
Captain Falcon was just a soldier.
you had to blow on the game to work. My dentures fell out.
So
What was your point? We're old? I think what you were getting.
The moral of the story is we're old.
Yeah.
Older
You think
games.
old
What I
games
was gonna
hold
say is the games when we were young were the best, and the games they make now are all total crap. That's what I was.
That's
trying to say.
right.
Sorry about
I think
that.
that's a good place to end.
No, that's
Yeah,
that's not what I mean.
Bleak
They still
future
make good games now. But I think back then you really had to lean on the gameplay.
Yeah.
And gameplay stands the test of time a little bit better than graphics would. Well, I'd say
1000%.
quite a bit better than graphics would. Still,
I think we
gameplay
can all
evolves.
agree on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think in terms of that, I do think it stands up because it's just so quick to get into. You kind of play through and like there's not a lot to learn, but it's hard to learn or easy to learn, hard to master type of thing, which is often the case in the 8-bit, 16-bit. You only had so many buttons to push, but you had to figure out like what is the right way to play this game. So yeah, and then having said that, up, down.
Right.
We all agreed.
Nice.
Let's end on a
amazing.
happy note.
Okay, well, yeah, let's end on a happy note. So thank you so much for listening. I guess schedule. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with this podcast. We'd love your feedback because it's alpha beta. And if you have any feedback, great. If you have a review, great. If you'd like us to talk about something, if you liked our new segment, like did you like a segment more than the other? I know Anthony loved our new segment.
Skip news segment.
I don't know if we're gonna do that.
Or
yeah, but I guess this is a podcast that we just honestly, I'll be honest, I just was looking forward to talking to my cousins more. We're dads, we have families, we don't really have time, so like this wasn't rehearsed because this is probably what we would have talked about on the couch anyway while we were gaming. Just I guess with a little bit more presentation because we know we're filming these ourselves, right? But really, this is just kind of the way we talk. So if you liked what you saw, great. I'm gonna do it. Hit that subscribe button.
Like, subscribe, hit the bell,
share it, hit the bell for notifications. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But you have to do it.
Leave us a 5-star review.
Leave us a 5-star review. Tell your friends about us. And again,
slap that.
Smash it.
Beat it.
Take that like button. Anyway.
Don't go.
Anyway, I don't know how many of these we'll have, but hey, we'll see what happens. So thank you very much, and see you next time we post.